Welcome back. You're watching CNBC Africa. This is Business AM. They say that Barack Obama dribbles when he walks. He's slick. When he talks, he's young and fresh, he's hip, he's cool. And in the end, these are the things that have made him very attractive to American voters this time. Tebe Galafeng is a branding specialist who's lived and worked in the U.S., and he joins Kenneth Walker and myself to talk about the brand Obama. Have you seen how he walks?
He does.
Brooks Spector was telling me that it's a bit of a basketball dribble.
He does have that swagger, though. It's a bit of confident and charismatic swagger, like you know who's in the house.
I'm the man. The boss is here.
Exactly.
Obama's here.
And you only see it with the big stars, by the way. You know, you see it with the big basketball stars. You see it with the baseball stars when they walk in. You're right.
And also his oratory, something that people have referred to constantly. You know, he's so slick when he talks. You know, I know that there's an auto cue there, but even without it, he is very poetic.
Well, what he's learned to do, he's learned to blend substance with style, and he's also gone, I think, back into the great American tradition of in churches preaching and all those. So he blends that and weaves his themes beautifully. I mean, I think even yesterday's, as always, yesterday's theme, you know, he finds a central point, a central theme, and weaves it beautifully throughout. And he knows how to lift people, and he knows how to calm people down with his speech.
But he also knows how to speak to an audience, and this is where the hypocrisy, I think I'm going to use that term, of Barack Obama comes in. If Barack Obama were here, he would tailor it to the business audience of CNBC. He gets to Israel, and he says the security of Israel is sacrosanct, so no change there in foreign policy. He gets to another platform, and he knows just how to speak to that audience. I mean, that's the mark of a true speaker and politician. But in an era where America really needs fundamental change, do you need somebody who is slick and smooth when he talks, or do you need somebody who is decisive and honest?
You need somebody who knows how to connect. The beautiful thing about Barack Obama is he had a central message, and that's what all good brands do. He had a central message of change and hope, and that message was tailored for the various, it was made relevant to the various audiences. So he hasn't exactly been changing his theme when he speaks about Israel and all those. He's just tried to make his theme relevant to the different audiences.
What do you make of Barack Obama?
I think there's nothing wrong with being an effective communicator. And if he's talking to the audience of CNBC, there's nothing wrong with him tailoring his remarks to the audience of CNBC, and so on and so on. But I think he is in the great tradition of American political oratory, and not only American, the greatest leaders, political leaders in the world, in the history of the world, have also been effective communicators. And in order to persuade people, first, to elect you, and two, to implement your program of governance, you have to be, or you should be, I should say, an effective communicator who can persuade people of the rightness of your cause.
It doesn't hurt much that he had huge celebrity endorsements from Oprah Winfrey. I mean, right there, that's 50% of Oprah's audience backing you. Then you have Sean P. Diddy, you've got Wyclef Jean, Kanye West, you've got Halle Berry, and a whole series of also white celebrities, the Steven Spielbergs.
Well, what he did very well, and I think I mentioned the first one, is that his message was clear. You know, when they analyzed the campaigns, they said the difference between him and McCain was that McCain was inconsistent, so people didn't have something to latch onto. So with his, and the second, he was very clear. The second most important thing, he truly connected, and connected means that he also said, how has communication world moved? How do I work with the world of internet, the world of celebrity, the world of sports, the world of those? How do I take my message to those various places? I mean, this guy hooked up with Chris Hughes, who's the founder of Facebook, and says, how do we use the internet effectively to communicate? So he understands the world of communities. That's why when Hillary was doing the big dinners, he was doing the caucuses. Yeah. When he needed to do a big dinner, he said, well, I'll speak to 200,000 people instead.
Right. Okay, and I think that's an important one in terms of fundraising and how he used the internet just to do that, just to lobby people through social networks. But there was a visual over there that says Barack brings brotherhood back. It's cool to be black in America right now. How did he play on that?
Well, I think there's something to that. He has, by his election, greatly diminished the anti-black bias that existed in many parts of the United States and the world. I think that He's also made it chic to be progressive / liberal again. There was a period there for maybe 30 to 40 years where American politicians, even in the Democratic Party, ran away from the word liberal, ran away from the word progressive because they thought that would hurt them with the American public. Well, that's no longer the case, obviously. And so, yes, you know, you made a point about his celebrity endorsements. I don't think that, one, they made much of a difference in terms of how people vote for president, but two, I think that the celebrities turned out to be pretty much like the rest of the American population. You know, they are terribly, terribly disappointed with the status of the country and with the direction of the country, and they want a whole new break with the past and a new direction to go into. And so in that sense, the celebrities were no different from everybody else.
Let's just rewind a little bit. You say they were terribly disappointed, but the issue is that Americans voted for George W. Bush not once,
twice,
but twice.
Well, you can also argue that the first time they didn't. and in fact, he lost the popular vote in the first election, and there's a good case to be made in the second one that he stole it along with the first one. So you can cut the American people a little bit of slack in that regard. But yes, by and large, they put him in the office, and they have that responsibility to bear. And I think that's part of the reason that they overwhelmingly rejected Republican right-wing politics this time, the embarrassment at having made such a huge mistake.
But I was going to say that people always say that we always get the leaders that we deserve.
Exactly.
And if you look at perhaps the time around when he was in, America was a bit more insular and a bit security conscious, and he was a type of leader who could say that, you know, let's go to war. We're Americans, we've got power, we can dominate it, we can defeat them. And then when you get in now, you're getting America transition. He says, no, the world has actually changed. So we need a leader who can change with us, who can take us into the new world.
The American electorate has also changed.
Exactly.
You've got now much younger Americans voting, many of them first-time voters. And Barack Obama's youthfulness seems to have played in his favor. I mean, really, in all fairness, John McCain looked like a serious geriatric just standing next to Barack Obama.
Youthfulness and youthful tactics as well. Because if you look about it, I mean, this man was able to mobilize 300,000 people in Florida alone who are first-time voters. This man was able to find, I think they said, 8 people who registered but didn't vote the last time. So yes, he's young, he's youthful, he's good-looking. I mean, he's endorsed by the Versace's of the world. So they brought that coolness to him to make him really stand up.
As a woman, I have to say this. Barack Obama is married to an articulate, strong, progressive woman. Educated woman. And given the fanfare around Hillary Clinton, do you think Michelle Obama was also a mitigating factor? That people were saying, okay, we don't get our Hillary, but there is this very strong, inspirational woman in the form of Michelle.
Well, I think Michelle Obama impressed people, women in particular, wherever she went. And she's going to have tremendous influence in this administration and in whatever she decides to do personally. I think, though, that Michelle Obama, the interesting thing about Michelle Obama was how she was able to solidify Barack Obama's support in the African-American community. He went to the Ivy League schools, editor of the Harvard Review, went to Columbia in New York, and he could have come out of that and clerked for a Supreme Court justice, gone to a corporate law firm, married a nice white girl, and we would have never heard of him. He chose not to do that. He made his stand in the black community, an authentically African-American wife. He decided to begin his career as a community activist in the black community. So I think that her connection, she was able to help him solidify, I think, his support in the African-American community.
Black. Okay, we'll continue talking, gentlemen. Thank you, Toby Gelfing and Kenneth Walker. In a second, we'll be back in just a moment, and then we'll be discussing Obama's connection to Africa and the rest of the world. Under George W. Bush, the United States preferred to do things alone, and because of that, America's lost many allies. Now, Barack Obama is going to have to rebuild ties with NATO, with the United Nations, and possibly even strengthen relations with the African Union. We're going to discuss all these issues after the break. Stay with us.